Es una lengua muy importante y también muy gente aquí en este país lo hablan y también por el mundo es la lengua más importante en este mundo.
Gracias. Es la lengua más importante en este mundo. He says, wow, the most important language in the world according to Ben Affleck. Hola, soy Esteban, soy profesor de español y hoy vamos a escuchar a varias celebridades que aprendieron español.
Siempre supe que tuve acento mejor porque aprendí español en México cuando tuve 13 años, vive allá. Y entonces supe, no tengo un perfecto vocabulario o los verbos, pero tengo acento. Y entonces estuve trabajando con Ana de Armas.
Correcto.
Y pregúntala, escucha a mi hija y escucha mi acento y dime cuál es mejor. Mi hija dijo cosas en español y entonces yo... Y Ana said, tu hija es mejor.
See, Ben Affleck, he speaks really well. I think he has a great accent. He even has a little bit of a native flavor to it that he has added to his pronunciation. Here's something that he does that I think is a great advice for people who are learning. He's telling this story about giving his phone to Ana de Armas. He's a little bit stuck on things. And then he uses the word said.
Y Ana said, tu hija es mejor.
He does not say ella dijo. So instead of taking the time to stop the conversation and saying, ella, what's the verb I'm looking for? He's using English because he wants to keep the conversation flowing. I think even though it sounds like a mistake, and it is technically a mistake, I think that's great advice for someone who's trying to learn Spanish and getting into conversation. Try not to stop the conversation. The context of things will help your audience understand what you're trying to say. He's also very proud of his accent, and as a teacher, of course, I can find little things here and there that might not be perfect, but the confidence goes a long way. So much of language learning is about confidence. Overall, I think his Spanish is great. Muy bien, Benito Affleck. I'm gonna give you 9 out of 10.
Es más fácil para mí hablar con un mexicano. Mi mujer es de Argentina, es muy difícil comprenderla.
His wife is from Argentina.
Es más fácil los mexicanos para mí.
¿Sí?
Sí. Aprendí en México cuando tenía 15 años y es más fácil. Los argentinos es muy difícil comprenderlos.
I've always said it, you want to learn another language, the best thing you can do is marry someone who speaks it natively. You should hear my wife's Spanish, it's very good. He has a little bit of aspiration, his S's are a little bit weak. It gives it a little bit of a Caribbean feel. This is a good strategy for pronunciation too. Sometimes you can soften a little bit your vowels to make it sound a little bit more relaxed. They will help you a little bit with your flow.
Es más fácil los mexicanos para mí.
Matt Damon speaks Mexican Spanish, and it shows you that it doesn't matter what kind of Spanish you learn. His wife's family is from Argentina, and I know that they won't have problems understanding him and him communicating with them. Argentinians understand Mexicans, Mexicans understand Spaniards, the Spaniards understand Peruvians, and nobody understands Chileans. So you don't have to overthink it, but if it makes it more interesting to you, yeah, focus on one country. Okay, that was Matt Damon. He has a little bit of a problem understanding Argentinians. That's fine, he did pretty well. I am going to give him a 9.2.
Yo hice todo lo de la escena de que se termina la película, que está en the barn.
Sí, la granja, en el granero. Todo el desenlace.
Sí, en la granja se dice, la granja. Eso fue muy difícil. Tú podías ver mucho fuego, muchas cosas que pasan ahí.
J-Lo, okay, I think this is great. I think it shows a lot of vulnerability to be a Latina and having to ask, how do you say a word? Because there's a lot of judgment towards Latinos who don't speak Spanish. Here's another great strategy that she uses. She asks for the word, they tell her the word, and what she does is then repeat the word. When you do that, when you repeat a word and say it out loud, you're kind of like storing it in your brain. You're making the process work. So when you learn a new word, feel free to say it out loud. Even if you're in the middle of the conversation, repeat what you're saying and continue with the conversation. Whether you are a Latino or not, I think it's a great practice in Spanish. Instead of like taking too long to think how to say a word, you can ask the person you're talking to, ¿cómo se dice this word? Another great strategy, and perhaps a preferable strategy, is to ask, ¿cómo se dice la casa roja con los animales? Try to find a way to get the vocabulary while continuing the conversation in Spanish. But overall, the idea is pretty good. Just keep the conversation flowing. Don't be embarrassed by the things you don't know. Don't take too long to think exactly what you want to say, and try to go with the flow. If you look at the internet, you might find people complaining about her not being able to speak Spanish or saying things badly, but here she is speaking Spanish on a TV segment and doing pretty well. I think that's great.
Mi gente latino.
A lot of people have criticized her for making this mistake, but come on, have you not made mistakes even in your own native language? I think it's great that she was adventurous enough to try to say it in Spanish. If you are a Latino who is trying to learn Spanish or is in the process of learning Spanish, I know that is challenging, but the one thing I would say is learn from J-Lo and let's try to get away from the shame of it. Most people in this country only speak one language, so the fact that you're trying, the fact that you're trying to connect with that side of your culture is a great experience. Use it, lose the shame, and keep going. That was J-Lo. So vocabulary, not perfect. Let's say 7.5. Confidence, 10 out of 10.
Hola, amores de Latinoamérica. Falta muy poquito para vernos otra vez. No veo la hora de visitar sus ciudades hermosas. Buenos Aires, Santiago, Lima, Bogotá y Ciudad de México. Estoy soñando con ustedes. Tengo 2 entradas para cada show para regalarles. Pueden hacer clic en el link de abajo para participar. Los quiero muchísimo y nos vemos muy pronto. Un beso enorme. ¡Mua!
Wow, very good. So Dua Lipa is almost an advanced Spanish speaker at this point. You can see that she's probably reading from a script, I believe. However, she has a lot of confidence and her pronunciation is great. Something that she does that's very interesting is that she says the word regalar and makes a mistake. And what does she do? She stops and she repeats the word correctly.
Tengo 2 entradas para cada show para regalarles.
I think it's great to correct yourself. I think that trains your brain to do it. Remember, this is not necessary when you're talking. If you make a little mistake, you can keep going and keep the conversation flowing. But it's also good to remind your brain like, oh, I actually can do this. Something you can learn from Dua Lipa. I know she's been only learning Spanish for a couple of years, so her progress is so impressive. It's so great. She says Bogota instead of Bogotá. There are other places where you can hear here or there a little bit of a pronunciation that is not perfect, but that's something that you improve only by practicing and talking, and she seems very confident doing that, so I can't wait for in a couple of years to hear her Spanish and how good it's going to be. Dua Lipa, for being a relatively new student with great pronunciation who corrects her own mistakes, I am going to give you a 9.7. Mi español no es muy bueno, pero me encanta Madrid, and the crowd goes crazy. That's great. Obviously, as she recognizes, she doesn't know Spanish, but the fact that she took the effort to learn this one phrase is very commendable. I think that goes to the core of what learning a language means. It means connecting with people. Even if you don't know the language completely, learning how to say please, learning how to say me encanta is such a valuable thing. If you learn one of these phrases, it's not gonna be like 30,000 people cheering you on, of course. But I bet you will find people who will appreciate what you're doing and you'll connect with them in a more personal level. Taylor Swift, as far as like your Spanish sample goes, I'm gonna give you a 5 out of 10, but the effort it took for you to learn this little phrase, you get a 10 out of 10 for that.
Tenía muchos compañeros en París que hablaba español,
¿En el equipo?
entrenadores también, cuando tenía a Pochettino 2 años que hablaba mucho español. Y para un francés es más fácil porque los 2 idiomas son latinas, so es más fácil aprender español que inglés. Me ha metido más tiempo para aprender inglés que español.
Wow, that's great. Wow, his accent is incredible. I liked him as a player before and now I really like him. This is crazy. You can hear some pronunciation issues, but you can also hear that he has been learning Spanish from Spain. He talks about how speaking French makes things easier, which in a way is very true, vocabulary, grammar structure, but it also can make things a little bit difficult with pronunciation. And he's doing a great job with it. Like, it sounds very natural. I can't believe this is his first interview in Spanish. He also talks about his coach and his teammates helping him learn. I think you can learn from that. Put yourself in situations where you're gonna have to use the language. And try to avoid using one of these. Just go for it. Even if you don't know the word, force yourself to try to communicate without any help and directly from here. Mbappé, I think you did so great, and just like the number in your jersey, I am going to give you a 10.
Viví aquí cuando tenía 16 años y me impactó, así se dice, mucho vivir aquí en mi juventud, ¿no? Y me enamoré de Juan Gabriel y Elvis Crespo y muchos más. Y fue parte de mi creencia.
Crianza.
Wow, that's incredible Spanish. A lot of people know that she was born in Mexico, but she had to leave when she was 1 and then came back and learned it there. That's not an easy thing to do. Lupita, I am going to give you a 9.8 for your Spanish, and I'm gonna give your parents a 20 out of 10 for helping you with your Spanish. That must have not been easy, but I know you probably appreciate having that language for the rest of your life.
Mira, mi español es perfecto. Mira mi cara. Mi español es muy bonita, ¿no? Y mi acento es perfecto. Muchas gracias.
Wow, that's the thing about Jack Black. He's all confidence. That's what you need. You need Jack Black confidence in order to learn the language. Notice he says, mi español es muy bonita. Español is a masculine noun. It should be mi español es muy bonito. Does it matter? No. Does he still call his Spanish perfect? Yes. That's the attitude you need. Mistakes are great. Embrace them. Celebrate them. So be like Jack Black and speak imperfectly perfect Spanish. Jack Black, Juanito Negro, I am going to give you 100 out of 10. I love that. I'm not usually a person that would tell you to learn from celebrities. I don't think they have a lot to teach us in general. But in these cases, all of these celebrities are showing something very important. You need confidence to learn the language, and you need to put yourself out there. So try to learn from those examples and go at it. Keep practicing Spanish, speak out loud. If you want to keep building your confidence, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications, and I will see you next time.